Hello, my name is Neil Bennett, Senior Enterprise Technical Support Advisor. Today we'll be talking about Change Other 6.7 and how to archive events to a backup database. When discussing how to archive events to a backup database, we'll be covering three subtopics: explaining the purge and archive jobs, creating and scheduling a new archive job, and showing how to connect to an archive database. We'll now be covering our first topic and explaining the difference between purge and archive jobs. There are three types of database maintenance tasks. The first is the purge job. This deletes events from the production database. You can create and run multiple purge jobs. The second type of task is archive. This moves events from the production database to an archive database on the same database server. The events will be removed from the production database and added to the archive database. You can only create and run one archive job or one purge and archive job. The purge and archive job first deletes events from the production database by running a purge job. It then immediately performs an archive job to move any remaining events in the time period specified from your production database to your archive database. This brings us to our second topic, creating and scheduling a new archive job. Here we're looking at the results of the All Events search from the Change Other client. We can see that there are events from October 21st, 2015 to September 14th, 2015. The purpose of this is to show us the events from before the archive and then after the archive. We'll next click on View and then Administration to go to the Administration tab to create our new archive job. Once the Administration Task tab is open, we want to ensure we select Configuration on the bottom left-hand side, and then select Purge and Archive on the left-hand side. We then click the Add button, and the Purge and Archive wizard will appear. We will then give the job a relevant name in the Job Name field. Once we enter that, we will then want to determine the age of events for which we want to process. This will of course vary on your business needs. The default is 90 days. For the purpose of this example, we'll use 14 days, meaning that any events older than 14 days will be moved to the archive. Since this is an archive job and not a purge job or a purge and archive job, we'll uncheck the Purge Events checkbox. We will then check the Archive Events checkbox. Year start can be left at January if you prefer to archive events based on calendar year. You can set it to another month if you prefer to store events based on fiscal year. Once you click Next, you'll be taken to the scheduling options of the archive job. You can schedule a job to run weekly or monthly. In this example, we'll have our job run once a week, so therefore we'll click Weekly every 1 week, and then we'll select Wednesday as our day of the week to run the job. Ideally, you want to set the run time for a time where the SQL Server will not be busy, but in this example, we're going to set the run time to 1 p.m. Batch size limit applies to purge jobs and not archive jobs, and therefore can be ignored in this case. Then click Finish, and our job will be displayed in the list. We'll return to the Purge and Archive page after our archive job was scheduled to run. We now see the last runtime is populated, indicating that the job is complete. See the next runtime is for the following week. If we expand the job, we can see different details of its execution, such as it starting, a new database archive being created, total events archive, and then it completing successfully. We'll next confirm what events are left in the production database by going to the Searches tab, All Events, and then the All Events search. Once we execute this search, it will return all events left in the database. In this case, we only have events for the last 2 weeks. Because our archive job was set up to move any events older than 14 days to the archive, those events are no longer available in the production database. This brings us to our third topic, how to connect to an archive database. Here we are at the login prompt of the Change Other client. We'll need to create a new profile to connect to an archive database. We'll do this by first clicking the Manage button. All the connection profiles will be displayed. We'll click Add and then Database Direct because we'll be connecting to the archive database directly. We'll click Next and then enter the SQL Server name. If you click the Browse button, all the available SQL servers in the environment will be displayed if they are running their SQL browser service. Highlight the available SQL server and then select which database you would like to connect to. In this case, our archive. Highlight the database and then click OK. Our SQL information will then be populated. We can click Next and then give our new connection a relevant name, in this case Archive 2015. Once we enter the name, we'll click Test and then confirm connection success in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. We'll then click Finish. Our Database Direct connection is now available in the list. You'll see that it is user defined, but the creds are not populated. Therefore, we'll use the currently logged in user's credentials. Click Save and then click Connect to use our connection. Once logged into the archive database, we'll go to the Searches tab and rerun our All Events search. we'll want to confirm what events have been moved to the archive. So we'll click Searches, All Events, and then the All Events search. We'll have to edit the When tab, because by default it'll just grab the last 7 days. We'll switch this to the last year. Once the When tab is updated, we'll then save, and then run our search. Looking at the results of the search, we can see that all events are older than 14 days, which is expected since the production database has only events newer than 14 days. This concludes our video of Change Other 6.7 and how to archive events to a backup database.